You good? Top left corner. And top left.
The final quarter of the year and the USL Game of the Week goes out to the desert. 98 degrees, and in mid-August, the playoff stretch is arriving. Phoenix Rising, third in the Western Conference. An on-dollar beer night where they always seem to bring a few extra fireworks and plenty of extra fans. They take on the number 8 side in the West, San Antonio FC. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Former German pro Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside him. This Phoenix team, Devin, anything less than a title would be underwhelming because they have that kind of potential.
You're looking at one of the biggest talents in the Western Conference, but they haven't really looked at as of late. Again, over the past 7 games, alternating between wins or losses, they need to get back on track. Rich Sean's telling us that consistency is the key. They got back on track a touch versus Las Vegas, but now they've got a nice home cushion. 3 games versus some, we'll call it, lesser opponents of sorts to continue their push up the Western Conference.
If they can get that second consecutive win here tonight, it would be their first winning streak since mid-June. And with the change in the coaching staff and some players loaned in, this is a very different team than we saw in the opening months of the year. On the other side, San Antonio sit in 8th. They thought they were going to get points at Cascadia. They got none.
June and July were very kind to San Antonio FC, going 5-2-2, only 1 loss apiece in those respective months. But here's their problem. They got to get it done on the road. 8 of their next 10 are going to be traveling, and that is going to be very difficult. Started in the Pacific Northwest, which you just referenced, but going 2-5-4 up until this point is not good enough if they want to continue that push to get into the playoff race.
For Phoenix, let's talk award potential winners. Solomon Asante is definitely an MVP candidate.
The biggest name out there right now is probably Manu Ledesma of FC Cincinnati, but Solo is right on his heels. Asante gets it done in every way, shape, and form. This guy can literally take over a game. Just a few weeks ago, Phoenix down 4-0. Solomon Asante says no problem. 10 minutes to go, throws 3 goals into the back of the net and brings them just in reach of that win. But look, on the other side of the ball, his counterpart has got to be able to challenge even further, and it's going to start on the defensive side of the ball. Darnell King, he's a converted forward. Started as a forward in college at Florida Atlantic University down in Boca Raton. Been moved to the outside back position. 5 assists. Is going to lead his squad, and that's what he's going to have to do. It's going to be 2 ways tonight because he's going to be challenging the likes of Billy Forbes on the left-hand side. So he's got to sit, be patient, show the structure of that defensive organization we've known to love through Dan Powell, and then explode the other direction.
So Phoenix and San Antonio set to match up in the USL Game of the Week. Phoenix, 3 consecutive home games, trying to solidify their place near the playoffs with Didier Drogba's return imminent. For San Antonio, 3 games in 8 days, a perilous position in the playoffs now. San Antonio and Phoenix are next. Welcome back to the USL Game of the Week. Flags are waving in Phoenix as the Rising set to take on San Antonio FC, two teams currently above the playoff line in the Western Conference. Let's meet the starters, Devin, and begin with the Phoenix side that made a bunch of changes over the weekend. We thought of squad rotation. This is probably more interesting than the last lineup.
Orange County to Vegas was 7 changes, so I guess going shorter here, only 5 changes from the last match, but bringing in Loney Tristan Blackman alongside Luigi Mala at the center back position. Watch out for that partnership. Was really impressed with number 5, Saad, on their marking back. He did a great job combining on the right side of the pitch, and youngster Devin Vega is going to pull the strings in the middle. He's calling it a 4-3-3 going forward. On the defensive side, a 4-2-3-1. Really likes to hold that midfield. For San Antonio FC, Darren Powell, they will be very structured on the defensive side of the ball. New acquisition, about a month and a half, 2 months now. Charlie Ward coming over from the Houston and RGV organization has done a good job, but they need him to help going forward a little bit more. Defensively, he's been sound, but needs to combine with the 4 up top.
And they're happy to have Stephen McCarthy in at center back as well. Big aerial target. Well, sometimes you go and try and get just a photo or a hat autographed. Sometimes you bring your drum. Chris Cortez standing over the ball. One of the many attacking options for Phoenix. As at the inner pass of 101 and 202 in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Stadium built in just 53 days. Rough and tumble, out of tumbleweeds. It's Phoenix Rising and San Antonio FC, the USL Game of the Week. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. Both teams playing a pretty match-heavy stretch of their season. It's a midweek game. 3 in 8 days for both groups. As Blackman knocks it over to Mala. Mala going a bit direct here. Forbes sent that across. He was offside. Well, that's one of the big underlying stories here for Phoenix and San Antonio. They've got all kinds of crossover from one team to the other over these last few years.
Take a look at them. Billy Forbes and Devin Vega, we talked about him in the open. You see Billy Forbes coming over as well, and Jason Johnson, a couple years ago. Those guys trying to push and continue their careers. Don't forget Mike Seth actually started off Phoenix Rising last year, a couple games early on in the spring, and then made his transition to San Antonio.
And then you've got previous iterations of franchises. Cyprian Hedrick played in the Phoenix area, and Saad Abdul Salam played for San Antonio Scorpions in the NASL. Deflected down and knocked ahead by Charlie Ward. Guzman gives chase. This will find Zach Lubin. That surprised both of us a little bit. We thought Carl Wazinski would be the man, but it's Lubin again. Played well enough to keep the shirt in a 2-0 win over Las Vegas last time out. Forbes cutting back a bit on King. It's the early matchup to watch. Return to Dia, and King circling away off of Dia. And it's with Diego Restrepo and San Antonio. Restrepo has started all but 3 games so far this year out of the University of Virginia. 30-year-old, born in Venezuela, moved to the United States at 11. As Guzman knocks this out off of Blackman.
You asked Darren Powell midweek with Cardoni in between the pipes, was there any sort of competition whatsoever, or was it just Restrepo getting a rest? And he said, Diego's our guy. He was very blunt about it, politely, of course, as he always is, but you knew right away who the starter was.
Service to the opposite wing is cut off, and you see the speed, the explosiveness. Phoenix's Vega drops back, the San Antonio native. Musa goes down. And now Guadarrama. And both these coaches have said, well, we're blessed to have 2 good goalkeepers, and sometimes that comes off a bit disingenuous. In terms of having a 1 and a 2, these are probably 2 of the top 5 teams blessed at that position. Now the turn from Gordon. Guadarrama enters the area, sends that up high. It's deflected straight back. And a goal kick coming for Phoenix Rising. Well, the elephant in the room is that Didier Drogba is a part owner and a current player for Phoenix Rising. He's been out since before the World Cup started. Hoping to get him back in a couple weeks. So nothing Darren Powell has to worry about, at least this time around. They do play again 3-4 games down the line on September the 8th. Forbes trying to cut back and a foul whistled against King.
It's the second time we've seen Billy Forbes get down into the channel and pull it back. Normally you'll see him spray that ball right across the 6, but he senses the pressure coming around from Darnell King, rightfully so. Darnell gets a touch to Feely there with his hands on the back end of the challenge. Otherwise, he probably wins it and goes the other direction.
Solomon Asante standing behind the ball. What an incredible option he's become. Came in under Patrice Carteron, won the Champions League in Africa under Carteron. Asante driving back post, a punch from Restrepo. Comes down, Vega. Vega keeping this alive. Abdul Salam sweeping up for Lambert on the ground. Touch from Hedrick. Cortez kept it in. Rodriguez racing after it. And the whistle is against Cortez. The referee tonight, Daniel Radford, Jason Ulrich, Alan Rios, the assistants. Mario Koss is the fourth official. Banditos seem to have their cheers down at this point.
On full force so far. Actually surprised they're not as loud, but waste not, want not. Give it time.
It's going to be 100 every day this week in the Phoenix area. I'm pretty sure pacing yourself is the best thing to do in this kind of heat.
Well, the good news is they'll have plenty of liquid nourishment. It is dollar beer night.
Yeah. There's a legend growing in the Phoenix area about this.
Every single time it happens. You and I were joking, but if we ever get the opportunity, I have to remember our student IDs. Can still pull it off.
I could, I think. Asante gets blown into the ground. He could still pull it off, too. Asante's looking pretty spry.
Never gets old, but this is what he does. Possession, first touch brings it inside. Second fails him a little, but trying to cut back in. Jose Escalante doesn't like the decision by the referee. Too much of the body coming in on Solomon, and another set piece opportunity for Phoenix Rising.
To be fair, they probably tell Devin Vega it's a fake.
Yeah, he doesn't even get an R-rated movie.
Restrepo gesturing here. Ball knocked in by Asante, brought down. The shot is on. Mala slid it in. It's off the feet of Restrepo. Header down, appeal for handball. That goes unheard. Asante held up again. Another foul whistled by Radford.
Second opportunity from a dead ball situation where Restrepo comes up huge. The first one got floated to the back post, made a great save. Otherwise, it would have ended up on the head of Luigi Mala. Mala all alone, isolated in the one-on-one situation. See him stretch out, try and sneak something by Diego Restrepo, but Restrepo responds appropriately.
To throw for Phoenix. Forbes brought down Mala. Everybody was looking at the assistant referee for offside. It never came, and Mala volleyed that wide.
Myself included, and who would have thought 3 times in the opening 8 minutes you'd be calling Luigi Mala's name in the center of the box on the offensive side of the ball. Big center back coming up. Those set piece and corner opportunities. He knows he should have made more of that one put right in front of him.
Mala has not scored or gotten an assist since joining the team in September last year. Ivorian player. Ball slipped through. The blazing speed now. Gordon trying to cut this across. Gordon chasing after it still. Guadarrama has arrived and serves it through. Chipped away. It's Blackman. Maxi Rodriguez still arguing his case here. Musa just got looked at by the trainer as well. Tenth minute, scoreless. In Arizona, this turned over. Guadarrama has it knocked over to him. Tries to slip it through, running diagonally. Kept in play, Guzman cuts it back. Guadarrama put it up and over. Guadarrama was looking for his first goal of the year.
Devin Vega tries to get cute in the middle of the pitch, turns it over, and then Musa gives up on the play here. Now he goes down, but gotta play till the whistle, buddy. Ball's cut back across the 6. Guadarrama tries to pick out that upper corner. Zach Lubin definitely beat if it gets inside the frame.
Bouncing ball, Hedrick was spun around by Vega. Cortez. Chris Cortez. Long run for Asante. Cochran will allow it out. Think about San Antonio, and they admitted that they really didn't play up to their own standard against Seattle, but felt better about their performance against Portland. You think back to the start of this year and their conversion rate, for whatever it's worth, well under 10%. They're really struggling in the final third. Let some points fall away, but they've put themselves, Devin, back in a playoff position at this stage.
For them on the road, Darren Powell telling us that he hasn't changed anything in terms of regimen. He wanted to keep things regular, and they had a stellar road record last year, but the personnel that they've lost on the offensive side of the ball, Billy Forbes, we already talked about. Devin Vega has come over. Michael Reed ended up in Nashville, and we all know about Sebastian Ibeagha and his departure. So his ability on set pieces a little bit more prevalent than what he did on the defensive side of the ball, obviously.
Ball sliced down in front, this too far. Restrepo will grab it. And even tonight, Pekka is out, yellow cards. Mikey Lopez has been awesome this year, coming over from NYCFC during the offseason. He's out for yellow cards too.
And Rafa been hurt a couple games back, out with that lower body injury, and those are 3 big names right there that would jump right into this starting lineup and start to really change the dynamics of this team.
We spoke with Rick Johnson. He goes, Elizondo's a really good player. He's not available. I mean, we get from Preston Petrie and Luis and the PR folk at San Antonio the injury report sent every week. We're always looking at it like it's the Sea Scrolls. I mean, they go on and on.
Yet somehow Darren Powell has done a great job from a management standpoint, keeping this team relevant and in the playoff conversation. That run in June and July got them as high as number 5.
Popped up, Ward. Ward steers it outside. Lubin, 29-year-old native of Bozeman in Montana. Went to St. Martin's University, time in Tulsa, Swope Park. PDL with Kitsap Pumas, won the PDL. Been around the block a couple of times. hasn't been easy sailing for Phoenix in midfield, has it? Guadarrama. He got this all the way through. He did. Escalante goes to ground. It's a clean tackle. Luigi Mala. It is a corner for San Antonio.
Phoenix really struggling coming out of the back. You can see San Antonio FC letting them have about 15, 20 yards, and then they're employing that high press right around the center circle. Devin Vega, James Musa, and Kevon Lambert having a tough time getting out of the back and going the other direction. Third or fourth time now that we've seen San Antonio step in. They make a good challenge and then go the other direction. Phoenix needs to tighten it up defensively.
Hedrick's a target. Ward can hit just about anybody. McCarthy too. Ball knocked in. Bounces all the way through. Guadarrama. Again, skies this over the crossbar. Darnell King got the initial tap across on that.
Sonny Guadarrama's second opportunity of the evening. He's going to rue the day if he doesn't help one of these find the back of the net. First one just around the 6, this one at the top of the 18. Good ball movement from San Antonio. And again, you can see them. They're more than willing to concede 30, 35 yards. They're sitting structurally, almost moves into a 4-4-2 flat across the middle. So you see Sonny Guadarrama, who sits in the 10 spot, jumping up top with Ever Guzman. And then right around here, if they see the space is aware for them, they're going to jump in. They push on the press. They've been able to get lucky on a couple bounces their direction, but defensively, it's been very impressive by San Antonio FC.
Forbes curling this into the area. Restrepo's got it. How often do we see teams concede all the way past midfield for Phoenix and say, okay, beat us in the final third off the dribble, beat us with your passing, but don't beat us with your pace?
Some would say that's the key to success. And it's very situational. It is depending on, okay, do we have the pieces in the middle to be able to contain the likes of Gladson Wako, Devin Vega, obviously James Musa, who can convert from a center back position all the way up to a number 10. He's that talented. But then you kind of pick and choose your battles because, okay, if you condense inside, now what are you doing on the outside? Well, now you have to deal with Solomon Asante and Billy Forbes, Jason Johnson, Chris Cortez. The list goes on and on. But the most success that you've seen is exactly what Mike just referenced. It's teams in their ability to sit, be patient, hold time, and then try and go the other way.
Dia and Gordon got wrapped up. Fair play. Trouble still brewing. Forbes goes down. It's a foul against Maxi Rodriguez. Billy Forbes has dealt with some injury issues this year. You and I saw him sign with Phoenix and we thought, uh-oh, they're unstoppable now.
Started hot, kind of cooled off a touch, caught the injury, and this is very uncharacteristic challenge by Rodriguez. Forbes coming around him, he goes flat. Phil Forbes wants a yellow there. His argument may not be far off.
Interesting spot here for Asante, no?
It's one of those gray areas. You know he's dangerous enough to hit something in their post, but Phoenix has been very tricky on dead ball situations recently.
Solomon Asante was going for goal. It's going to make that difficult for Restrepo. Cyprian Hedrick just put his head on the line.
He does try and have a go. Stuff by Hedrick.
Another set piece for Phoenix. Probably the worst hit of the group so far. This will get out over Asante. Cutting this back, Cortez puts it in. Lambert, excellent feed. Cortez, brilliant finish. Phoenix lead 1-0.
The interchanging play is amazing. All of this starts from the loanee from NYCFC, Abdul Salam. Great ball in behind the back line. The overlapping run from the holding midfielder of Kevon Lambert touches it back to where he knows that big number 9, Chris Cortez, is going to be right at the top of the 6. He holds off, gets his 12th of the season, and Phoenix is out and running.
Just 2 back now of the Golden Boot lead. United Soccer League. Tomaseni Voldson of Orange County at 14. And Cortez continues pick up important goals for this Phoenix side. Well, Devin, put really simply, San Antonio isn't necessarily a team that's built to come from behind. And you really can't afford to let this game get away from you, the way that Phoenix can so often put a game away. Asante leading Cortez. Vega. Asante. Asante trying to dribble through Maxi Rodriguez, only as far as Cortez. Ball slipped through, Gordon is there. Kept alive by Dia. Spins around and plays it through for Forbes. And if you're San Antonio right now, Gordon defending that deep is not a great sign.
Not whatsoever. You can see Diego Restrepo frustrated with his backline as well. Almost in disgust as that ball made it in behind. You need to calm things down almost immediately, because this is what Phoenix can do. They get out in front of you, they get that first goal, and then they want to push. They want to push and frustrate you, look for a second and third almost immediately. That's been their recipe for success. They really try and put that stranglehold on you opening first 45 minutes and make you lay chase. Most teams have not been able to do so.
Amazing what a goal will do in Phoenix. Just ignites this crowd. This will roll out for a rising throw. Rick Shantz, we asked him about the Las Vegas game. They ended up winning 2-0 away to Las Vegas. But he made it seem like there was no option but a shutout. He said that to the team, to his staff ahead of the game. And they looked a little bit like that, a little bit more retracted on the road in Las Vegas.
Very tentative, and that shutout rang true for both sides of the ball. He said, look, I was happy going in, getting a tie and getting out of there with 1 point. Super happy to come out with 3, but you could see they were much more reserved on the offensive side of the ball. He said, let's be classy. Let's make sure we show composure. And that's what they did. You saw almost immediately great structure in their game. They did a good job holding the ball, especially in the second half. They dictated the tempo. First half, a little bit more open between the two squads, but they got their goal and then just put it on cruise control. The Lights never really finding their way back, and they are definitely slipping in the Western Conference. For a while, they were kind of the talk of the town, but haven't been able to get things going.
Maxi Rodriguez. Back now for Cyprian Hedrick. McCarthy. Cochran kept it alive. Escalante. Honduran electric in the attack. Cochran serving. Gordon got a touch to that, and it's right at the feet of Lubin. Well, that's a lot better from San Antonio than we've seen much of the night.
Especially from Greg Cochran coming out of the back in the overlapping run. Nice ball to the back post. But surprised Gordon doesn't go with his head in this situation. Lets the ball fall. Very patient, but he's going to get a lot more power on this if he attacks this with his head. You can see he comes off knee, thigh area, just trying to challenge Lubin a little bit. But if he goes, he's got that big frame, gets his head behind the ball, and sticks something to the far post. It's definitely going to be much more successful than what we saw.
Darnell King. Goal in the 18th minute from Chris Cortez, the difference for Phoenix. And USL encyclopedic extraordinaire Nicholas Murray says not only did Annie Voldson score, but Cameron Lancaster got 2 tonight. So the Golden Boot race is now 15. The bar keeps rising. No pun intended.
Lancaster was on fire. He got 2. He hit the woodwork. I mean, it was impressive performance from him.
And not a very impressive performance from Charlotte, is it?
That's Mike Jeffries has a problem. He said that this has been one of the most frustrating years, and if you could ever want to ask that question ever more prevalently, just ask his wife.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Frustration has rang true all around that household. And
you know, it's when the dog knows there's something wrong that things have really hit the skids. I haven't quite asked if that's an issue. That's really nice from King. King cutting this back. The defensive pressure staggering as Lambert knocks it ahead. Gets as far as Gordon. Gordon's got 5 goals on the year. He lines this across as a deflect out. Gordon, a Jamaican international. Montego Bay United, time with India 11 last year, scored 3 goals in 20 games for them. Highly celebrated acquisition. Ward. This is Cochran pushing up. Airmailing this out of play.
San Antonio is going to have success on both sides of the pitch. We already saw some overlapping movement from number 20, Greg Cochran, on the left. Here's Darnell King. His ability to get up and down the pitch, unparalleled at times in this league. But you could see as he pushed into the final third, got into a one-on-one situation with Amadou Dia, and he had no help. Omar Gordon just stopped, didn't tuck back inside and ask for the ball in return. So King holds it up. Really no support whatsoever in the middle of the box. He pulls up, challenge comes in, the ball finally makes its way back out, but doesn't matter if he gets into those situations, he's got no help to finish it off.
Restrepo let that run in on him a bit. King. Part of a defense last year, best in the USL, 24 goals allowed. They had the boy Restrepo's made a real mess of this. Asante, easiest finish he can imagine. He does all the work, he gets his reward. Phoenix by 2. His 12th of the year.
Nightmarish stuff from the goalkeeper coming out of the back. Diego Restrepo gifts it to Solomon Asante. And it can't get any simpler than this. Pulls it back, puts it on that big right foot of his, and just places it in the bottom corner to get his 12th of the season. San Antonio are having an abysmal first half.
Well, it's an absolute shocker. Diego Restrepo last year was as good as anybody in the USL. Guadarrama, a service that's handled easily enough. I was in the midst of saying how good they were last year. That's the 31st goal San Antonio has allowed. McCarthy has dealt with injuries, and Ibiaga moves on to NYCFC. The 2 big center backs that were crucial haven't played much a role at all. Gordon and Lubin able to keep this on the end line.
You're talking about a team that, outside of those departures, still has all the respect in this league. Talking with Rick Shantz this week, he said, look, I know Darren Powell's one of the best in the business on the defensive side of the ball. They are always well prepared. But this is a blinder. I mean, this is very poor from them on the defensive side of the ball. And it's not just the goals that we've seen. Credit to Phoenix on the first one. The second one we just saw was terrible, but the spacing has been poor. 3 times in the opening 8 minutes, we saw Luigi Mala in open situations. I mean, that's the center back from Phoenix Rising who has no goals or assists in his opening 1.5 years for the club. That can't happen. You've let Solomon Asante and Chris Cortez run rampant up top. arguably the two best players on the team. I mean, that's when you go into the film room, you say, okay, if we're going to stop anyone, it's going to be these two.
Wow, look at the speed coming out of the back. Cut back for Vega. The thing is, you say if we're going to stop anyone, it's blank. But with Phoenix, genuinely, there are 8 players that I look at on their roster. I was looking pregame where I go, boy, can't let him score, can't let him wreck the game. And it's just brutal. This is, in a lot of ways, a super team in the USL's Western Conference, even if the third place mark right now doesn't necessarily show that.
Especially when they're in form. I mean, they are comparable to none. They are men amongst boys when they're all in form.
That's the whole story of this, though, right? Because they've given up 9 goals in the last 3 games. Okay, you know, before the shutout against Las Vegas, consistency, and that's been a real difficult mark for them.
Go a step further, Mike. They've given up 9 and 3.
Yep.
They've given up 13 in the last 6. They've only given up 28 goals all season long. So you're talking about half of the goals that have ended up in the back of the net have been in the past 6 games.
That's not a good look for Solomon Asante. He's got a goal on the night, and he's pointing at his right hamstring. And he just made a motion for a sub. It's the 30-minute mark. It's time for the hydration break anyways, and that's, boy, Phoenix has to be concerned about this. And Devin, it's worth noting, because social media being what it is, you see a lot of Eastern Conference fans that don't see the West, a lot of Western Conference fans that don't see the East. If you are in the West, Manu Ledesma is an MVP candidate. If you're in the East, Solomon Asante is an MVP candidate. There's no discussion about that.
100%. The numbers are strikingly similar, and you're looking at a guy that could easily end up in that 10 and 10 club, 10 goals, 10 assists. So don't be surprised, but you saw him almost immediately points to that right hamstring and immediately asks for rotation. Wouldn't be shocked if this was Jason Johnson coming in, stepping onto the right side.
Well, we take a look back at how this game's transpired. This goal from Cortez, his 12th in the 18th. And then this howler, Asante in the 27th. And it's 2-0.
A lot of people like to go the alliteration route when they describe Solomon Asante. They call him super. Sometimes he's silly because of all his footwork.
Because of that celebration.
But maybe Diego Restrepo didn't see him because he was short. There's an S. See what I did there? I love the guy, but I mean, honestly, when you take a look at the replay right there, what just happened, how does he give the ball away right there? There's no reason whatsoever unless he couldn't see him.
And he had an option out to his left, too. That's equally frustrating. So a change is coming for Phoenix. You saw the armband make a change over here to Dia. Jason Johnson up and moving around. Expect him on. As Devin Kerr continues his perfect crystal ball substitution pattern list of late.
It's going to be a scary movement, though, because he's got that big left foot, and every now and then Phoenix will move him out onto the right side of the pitch, especially when Billy Forbes is playing, and they'll utilize him over there. At times, as things start to shift later on, sometimes they'll bring Cortez off and let JJ Gonaround run rampant up top. Can always bring Cortez off eventually and bring Frater on, but regardless, with JJ stepping in on the right, expect a lot of movement for him to press on the inside with overlapping runs from Saad. They haven't really gotten him involved that much on the offensive side of the ball, outside of his beautiful assist that was played down into Lambert, who was able to find Cortez. Jason Johnson, as you mentioned, Mike, just another one of those components that for this Phoenix Rising squad. It's that high, potent offense, attacking capability. Definitely made his case for goal of the year just a few short weeks ago.
And Tyler Terrence made his call of the year with that too, as Johnson replaces Asante. Johnson, 13 goals last year, 9 came at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Phenomenal player out of VCU in the Atlantic 10. 3 caps for the national team, has played in CONCACAF Champions League. extensive experience in MLS and yes, experience in San Antonio as well. All Phoenix so far, the USL Game of the Week. You here on ESPN3 with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Phoenix, 3 straight home games. They sit third now. A win puts them a tie for second based on the standings at the start of the night as McCarthy drives this away. Orange County currently leading their game against Timbers 2. Timbers 2 sitting 5th right now. San Antonio just 5 points back of them. Middle of the conference table, they sit in 8th. It's a tangled web right now, the Western Conference. Hedrick. San Antonio break checking all of Phoenix right now. Slipped through by Guadarrama. Here's Gordon. Blackman struggling to get back up. Gordon trying to backheel this. Blackman knocks it away. You were really excited to see the young center back tonight. As a foul here against Hedrick.
Especially because most of the tape that you can pick up on him is when he was playing at Pacific. He kind of rotated between attacking presence as well as a defender, and being drafted by LAFC this year, number 3 overall pick. He had 9 appearances for the squad, but has cooled off as of late, really trying to find some reps. Rick Sean's telling us that his relationship, Ante Razov was able to get both Blackman as well as Shaft Brewer Jr., another youngster who may make an appearance here this evening, but Blackman just stepping in behind. He's done a good job so far, like his communication with Luigi Mala. Those 2 spots usually acquired by Joe Farrell and Mike DeFont, those 2 guys getting a rest for the evening.
As Lambert involved in the challenge here, and the athletic trainers called onto the field. Tristan Blackman actually out of Bishop Gorman in the Las Vegas area. First game he was with Phoenix was that game in Las Vegas. They left him on the bench. We look at the challenge here.
Lambert coming over the back a touch. 2 big bodies in the middle of the field colliding. No malintent, but definitely some stinging gonna be left in that one.
But Blackman got to go home to Las Vegas. We asked Rick Schantz what the trip to Las Vegas was like, and it's not all it's cracked up to be sometimes when you're on a business trip. That was speaking with the Fresno coaching staff. They're there this coming week, and Adam Smith saying, well, we'll see how the game goes. I think that's how a lot of teams are looking at it.
Definitely one that you circle on the schedule and you can figure out the best way to management in every way, shape, and form, and it's not necessarily dealing with the strip.
Hope you've got a bye week, I think is.
Yeah.
Back into midfield, San Antonio takes over. Trying to turn around what's been a woeful road trip as it stands. Cortez is coming. Restrepo has earned a night-long catcall from the supporters section now. Escalante demolished from behind. That should be a card. Yeah, that'll be a yellow. his 6th of the year. You know, the problem with taking one card off after 5 is you never know who's up for yellow card accumulation suspensions by the time you get to this point of the year. He's good. He already served. Set piece for Charlie Ward. Gordon got ahead to that, and it skips out of play. McCarthy throws his body into that. Phoenix came away with it only for a moment. Slipped through too far. Escalante looking Guzman. Nearly had a curious moment there. Is that curious moment? Forbes. Forbes trying to pirouette. Wow, look at Forbes keeping this alive, and Vega staved by Restrepo, not once but twice. Absolutely unbelievable. That was almost from San Antonio with love. Restrepo punches it away. The former San Antonio FC Phoenix Rising players almost came back to bite this SAFC group.
How this ball does not end up in the back of the net or even over the end line, I will never know. Billy Forbes, great job shifting onto the inside. Devin Vega all alone. And that's just one where you got to pay an homage to Diego Restrepo. He's had a rough opening 45 minutes, but is able to get back to his sound tactics, slides over. First save, great. Second save, even better. Keeps his team in this match just before halftime.
Well, is that the spark San Antonio needs? San Antonio charges forward. Ball poked through. Guzman the target. Billy Forbes not endearing himself to former teammates. By Gordon. Throw for Dia. Cortez in the 18th, Asante in the 27th. Asante has since gone down injured. Vega got clipped a bit there. Tristan Blackman. That's picture perfect. Musa. Guzman chasing after it, the longtime player at Morelia in Mexico. Forbes catch up. King nods it toward the corner. Long throw, McCarthy, easy work. Gets as far as Blackman. Sends this across. Jason Johnson, Vega, Vega! Devin Vega won't be celebrating against his hometown club, but he's made it 3 for Phoenix. And he's atoned in a major way for the Rising.
He wears 23, and he's only 19 years old. Devin Vega has been very active in the opening 45 minutes. Classic composure, makes his way right to the top of the box. The first touch is absolutely brilliant, sets him up, picture perfect, to the upper corner. Three's company for Phoenix as they're out in front, and it has gone from bad to worse for San Antonio FC.
4 minutes added time. Not to make light of it, but the red smoke billows out here. Our thoughts with those involved with the terrible wildfires that continue to be a problem in California and up the coast. And play will come back and belong to Phoenix. Gordon and Guadarrama both pretty incensed. Guadarrama being the voice of reason.
None of them are happy. Guadarrama gets beat coming back and arguing, and you can see right there, that's where you've been naughty. You can't play that rough on the playground, buddy. Studs up. Doesn't matter if you get the ball. You can't go in like that.
Well, it seems like the ball sort of almost like a ramp pushes it up, though, doesn't it? I'm speaking to a center back here. I'm trying to give you cover.
It's frustrating for a defender, but when you step into a situation like that, you just can't go in.
Blackman. This is off the training ground. Vega. Pushing ahead there. It's Musa. Drove that up and down. Boy, if that goes in. Guadarrama goes down. Tried to hold up. That's Vega. Well, you like goals, this is the one to watch. Ball slipped ahead. Cochran drives this with some real venom. Caught by Lubin. Served up. Gordon pushed down by Dia. It's a throw for Phoenix. For Gordon's disapproval. Cortez keeping this. Just tackled by Rodriguez. The yellow card's coming. Actually, Rodriguez's second yellow of the season.
Both Charlie Ward and Maxi Rodriguez not having the best opening half, and that is nasty stuff from the midfielder. Not only is that going to be a yellow, but he's going to be on a short leash from the rest of the match.
We've reached halftime. Well, if you're Phoenix, this is a dream. If you're San Antonio, it has to be a nightmare on the road. This whole road trip been a bit of a nightmare.
Get into the dressing room, wake yourselves up, hit the refresh button, find a way to get back on track, make some personnel changes. Forget about the opening 45 minutes.
Struggle for San Antonio. Diego Restrepo. One great save, but otherwise has a difficult performance on the night. Someone usually so very trustworthy between the sticks. It's been all Phoenix. As Cortez, Asante, and Vega all on the board. Highlights, stats, we'll show you around the league when we come back. Aaron. Welcome back. Phoenix 3, San Antonio 0 in our USL Game of the Week. As a hot, scorching day in the Phoenix desert. Fans still making their way out, enjoying a nice koozie-covered beverage that only costs $1. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Devin, this is what's coming up. You'll get to see one of the great venues in USL next time up. Rio Grande Valley, HEB Park, San Antonio and Phoenix, both part of the upcoming Game of the Week schedule.
Beyond impressive, HEB Park. Phoenix really struggled when they went out there, weren't able to get the job done and had to settle for a tie, but RGV is one of those teams. They carry a boatload of talent, just haven't been able to close things out. Continue down the line. Real Monarchs, I mean, they are the big power in the Western Conference. Anthony Pulis, St. Louis FC took down Reno just a few weeks ago and have continued to try and make their way back into this playoff race. Has been touch and go, and the Rowdies struggling beyond belief. Able to salvage a point, though, tonight versus Bob Lilly, getting it back to 1-1.
Well, they could be in some serious trouble if they can't string some wins together now. The Red Fury, La Furia Roja, however you want to say it, it's been fantastic from Phoenix Rising. The atmosphere's been good, the players have been better. That's been the case in the USL a lot this year, and the highlights were fantastic from week 23.
I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I'ma keep on climbing, I ain't gon' stop. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I'ma keep on climbing, I ain't gon' stop.
Thomasina Volkson looking for number 14. There it is.
Cross comes in towards the back post, and Foster Langsdorff has his 11th goal this season.
The corner of the 18, cross comes in, and a goal for Foster Langsdorff. It's his second of the evening.
Into the box, a strike, and a goal. Christian Valesky. Guess who? Again, Valesky with his second. Slides it across, Michael Seaton. Seaton in on goal, Michael Seaton, he's at the brace.
Ledesma right at the edge of the 18, takes a shot, and Manu Ledesma does it again!
Now Spies gives it a go, and Spies finds the back of the net. Game of one-upsmanship from the Indy 11 this season. Rebound comes out though, and it's stuck right back in. And guess who? Solomon Asante.
Chance now for it, St. Louis! Long overdue goal for Corey Herzog. Here's Carl Howarth, and the shot, and it is 1-0 Ottawa Fury FC.
Here's Zayden to strike. It hits the frame of the goal and goes in. Laid off to the path of Barry. He's onside, and he fires it home.
It'll be Gordon to strike with his right boot, hits it, and puts it in the back of the net.
To Velasquez. He'll take a crack through distance, and a goal. Chandler Hoffman redirects it for the goal. Here's another opportunity. Dixon shot, and a score.
Back to Corbin Bone. Bone inside of the 18, buries it in the back of the net.
So Belmar now into the area crossing Belmar. Losing his defender, Belmar. Shirley. Blackwood gets the goal.
Great save by Kendall McIntosh.
Shot getting a piece of it. What a save.
Great stop by Dykstra.
Oh, what a save by Vaughn Williams.
Cardoni with an impressive save.
A brilliant save.
Jason Johnson, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, what a finish for Alex Bruce.
Asante the other way, oh, what a goal.
Near post. Oh, what a finish by Charlie Ward.
And what a world-class goal that is from Didier Drogba.
Great save, Restrepo, diving stop. Must-see TV.
Hasn't been must-see TV so far if you're a Phoenix fan. Yes, if you're San Antonio, well, that wasn't the first half you're looking for. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's take a look at some news and notes from around the United Soccer League of late, and we begin with Mr. Clean Sheet. Maxime Crépeau, but Ottawa struggled on the day. Unable to continue that clean sheet magic. FC Cincinnati, over 350,000 fans. Their USL Swan Song season. And these playoffs right now, anybody's game.
Both conferences really trying to find their way. Got some guys at the top that are making their case for best in the East and West, but the fight right at the number 8, 9, 10 spots have been back and forth over the past couple of weeks. It's only going to get worse as these teams continue to struggle to find form. Other ones starting to get hot. FC Cincinnati, we talked about their attendance before. Doesn't hurt that you've got 14 undefeated games. Looking very, very nice and comfortable in the Eastern Conference, but they're going to finish a lot on the road. The biggest thing for supporters over the course of the USL, it's not just FC Cincinnati. I mean, look at Las Vegas. They're sitting in the 14th spot, looking up, just eclipsed 100,000 fans.
Doesn't matter. Still have people running through the turnstiles. Here's the USL Team of the Week. Nobody of note from this game, but Seaton for Orange County. Phenomenal performance last week.
Absolutely amazing. And then you go the week before, was able to get it done versus Phoenix Rising. We referenced Solomon Asante getting the 3. Michael Seaton, 2 games in a row, 2 goals and an assist. I like Zambrano, who sits in that holding midfielder position for T2. Foster Langsdorff has made a name for himself over the past couple weeks, and it's always nice to see young Alex Dixon getting involved from OKC Energy.
And Devin, let's take a look at the Western Conference standings, because that's what everybody's talking about right now. Real Monarchs, can they be caught? The Western Conference, games in hand on people behind them. San Antonio, they're in a decent position, just 24 games played.
all of which right now is real-time standings because Orange County and Phoenix are holding their wins. 45 minutes to go on that, but really curious to see what's going to work out. I had the opportunity to chat Jason Davis, SiriusXM FC, a few weeks ago, and I said that if anyone was going to make it, I really thought Swope Park Rangers was going to hold on. I did not think St. Louis would get in.
Well, St. Louis sits 7th right now, and of course they'll be in the USL Game of the Week soon enough. So grab a beverage and maybe some popcorn. Phoenix and San Antonio second half right around the corner. We'll have a look back at first half stats and highlights after this. Welcome back to the USL Game of the Week. Phoenix Rising 3, San Antonio 0 as the fans make their way back out. The locals have enjoyed a nice evening out so far. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's take a look at first half highlights. It's going to be a lot of Phoenix, and one clever person on Twitter, Devin, may have put it best. Diego Restrepo, best player for both teams right now.
He's had an absolute blinder in the opening 45 minutes. Some amazing saves, but hasn't been able to get it done in between the pipes for the most part. This one starts it off early, 18th minute. Saad, Lambert, Cortez, 12, 1-0.
This comes in the 18th minute, and he wouldn't be the only one getting his dozenth goal so far. Asante, this is a gift.
Exactly what we're talking about. Christmas has come early, my friends, for Solomon Asante. Diego Restrepo just hands it off to Solomon Asante, who is wide open in the middle of the field. Have no idea what he's thinking in this situation. Trying to come out of the back, all red in front of him. Easy pickings for Solomon Asante. Gets his 12th on the season alongside his compatriot, big number 9, Chris Cortez. And then this, how this doesn't end up in the back of the net. Billy Forbes, some individual brilliance. Devin Vega can't finish it off.
Not once, but twice, Restrepo able to keep this out. His biggest highlight from the first half is nearly an all San Antonio FC former player connection here. But Vega would get his chance again a little bit later. Come the 45th minute, he'd have an opportunity to get on the board, and he does it quite well.
If at first you don't succeed, try again, and why not with a volley like this? Great ball in from Jason Johnson. First touch is my favorite. Love how he just lofts it up right in front of himself, sets it up so appropriately to pick out that far corner in any way, shape, and form. And then the class by the young 19-year-old to not celebrate against his former squad. Very impressive.
Well, if you're Phoenix, you can see the possession battle, but you are absolutely clinical. The final third, Rick Schantz will take that.
Most of that on the possession side of things was the opening 10 to 12 minutes and the closing 5 to 6 minutes. So nothing real threatening for Phoenix Rising. You're Darren Powell. We talked about their structure on the defensive side of the ball. None of that has come into play in the opening 45 minutes. It's been absolutely terrible. They need to fix things. Interesting that they went back to the 4-2-3-1. I'd like to see them shift back into a 4-1-4-1, really solidify the middle of the park and get things together, because that's where things have really exploded. Now, we know what Phoenix can do on the wings, but balls have started from the middle from all of those challenges and then exploded outside into the channel.
So Phoenix a 3-goal lead, and the fans making their way back in here for this second half. Devin, you think about San Antonio and the schedule coming forward for them. We asked Darren Powell about it. We talked about how all 5 games on their docket are extraordinarily difficult, and all for different reasons. It's not going to get easier for San Antonio, even if they do return to Swope Park at Toyota next time out.
Sometimes as a manager, you'll let things like this continue and try and gain some momentum with a squad that you've used to been using, but that's not going to be the case as you take a look down the line, and we'll get back to the personnel changes in a second. Swope Park Rangers, RGV, we already talked about how difficult HEB Park is to play at. Then you go to Zions Bank, and then you get to go home and face Phoenix Rising, and then go on the road to Tulsa, who they just struggled with and lost.
Yeah, well, that's got to be concerning. On the other side, you're Phoenix right now. You move within either 3 points of first place or tie for second based on how results go tonight. They sit third right now. As it stands, this will move them to 47 points. They had 58 last year and finishing 5th in the Western Conference. But it's a group that looks forward to 3 straight home games. Colorado Springs and RGV on the season have faced some pretty tough times, in particular on the road, and it makes Phoenix pretty confident this could be the home stretch that solidifies a home playoff game to start the postseason run.
You're spot on, Mike. We talked about that at the top of the broadcast, and they've been touch and go as of late, and it's been both home and away performances. At T2, they were brilliant. Went out, got a great 4-1 victory on cruise control. Then they come home, Orange County down 4-0. Looked like they were actually going to fall apart even worse. Again, Solomon Asante was able to pull them back in, but again, not a very good performance from Phoenix Rising. The good news is they were able to get their bearings back together, get back on track, get a nice road victory to help push them towards the momentum that we've seen carry over into this match. Up 3-0 with 45 minutes to go, but they'd really like to secure things. I'd like to see them on the defensive side of the ball maintain that 0.
Well, San Antonio needs a remarkable second half if they're to turn this on its head. Referee Radford blows his whistle. We're into the second half in the USL Game of the Week. Devin Kerr with me, Mike Watts, as Phoenix tries to continue their climb, and for the first time in about 2 months, win 2 consecutive games. This is a group, don't forget, that when Rick Schatz took over, set a couple of club records, consecutive run without allowing a goal and consecutive shutouts, obviously. And then the defense really fell apart of late. Whether you call it complacency or just too many mistakes. This ball slipped through. And now a chance for Forbes. Restrepo's there early. Cortez was crisscrossing.
Another terrible turnover by San Antonio Football Club right in the middle of the park. Was the problems that plagued them in the opening half. Continuing here into the final 45. Chris Cortez really wanted that one too. Billy Forbes set himself up on the right foot. Cortez wanted his 13th.
Escalante drives this. Ultimately out. Deflected by Phoenix. Restart. Escalante. Header! Saved off the line! Lubin dives across and keeps it out! A master stroke for Phoenix's goalkeeper there.
Diego Restrepo was the human highlight reel in the first half, but the leap from Lubin right across his left side keeps the goose egg intact. That is great goalkeeping by Zach Lubin, making the most of his opportunity back there.
Just the 6th start this year for Lubin. He was awesome on a road swing through Oklahoma against Tulsa and OKC Energy. kept the job for another game. Had a frightful performance. A couple soft goals. Carl Wazinski returned. If you're Rick Schantz, the longer Lubin puts up zeros, the longer you have to consider keeping that option for the time being and keeping the hot hand. Shifty stuff, intercepted en route to Johnson. Devin, you've been around coaches of all ilks. They're the ones that rotate regardless of the result, and that's how they do it. There's others that ride hot hands for lengthy stretches of time, whether they're the star of the club or not.
That's what Schantz is looking for. He's looking for that consistent chemistry that he's referenced to have so many times. He would love to be able to put together a regular starting 11. You also got to keep guys happy. Someone who we haven't referenced so far who's on the bench tonight available. Kevon Frater came over, great season last year with Colorado Springs and Steve Trittschuh, and stepped in here and just really hasn't fulfilled his side of expectations. Unfortunately, not a lot of opportunities, but when you've got guys like Solomon Asante and Chris Cortez, Billy Forbes, you got Didier Drogba in there as well, Gladson Awaka, all of them getting their regular reps, it's difficult to then find your push into that formation in the rotation that you're referencing. But he's done a good job mentally, just staying positive, and it just goes back to what you talked about earlier on in this game where they just have so much talent and weapons.
Gordon keeping, lofting, chested down. Abdul Salam. Gives it back to Lubin. Slide in, Abdul Salam in pursuit, but Guzman comes away with it. Gordon has the runner, chips it over the top. There's an appeal for a handball. I think that might be on point. And that was, yeah, inside the penalty area too. Johnson sent it a bit behind Cortez. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. You can receive free shipping on orders of $50 or more. Devin, I saw you shared the new Champions League ball. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. Jersey design, soccer ball designs.
The jerseys. There's only one team that matters.
You are walking alone in this booth right now.
There you go. There you go. You know, when it comes to the composition of a ball, I'm always curious to see. There's another look. That's dangerously close, but second review, that's hard to tell. Darnell wants it. Might have a case. I'm always interested in the changes that they make because everybody's like, oh, a ball's a ball. It's definitely not. When you start to rotate between Nike, Adidas, Select, even when you go into the old school, high school, and college balls of Brine, they are so different. They have a different feel, the composition, the weight, everything as Jason Johnson goes to work on the near sideline.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Johnson lays it across. It's Forbes. Forbes sliding in, and Restrepo has it calmly pitter out at his feet.
We're giving you the breakdown of different types of balls around the world. Jason Johnson goes to work on the Select ball. Nice footwork. Finds Billy Forbes should have hit it first time. Darnell King recovers. Good recovery by the defender. Steps in, nice challenge. Restrepo collects.
I think it's becoming pretty obvious Jason Johnson doesn't care what kind of ball you give him.
If you give him a tennis ball at this point in time, he'll do the same thing.
McCarthy, it's a long run. Shoves over Cortez. Mentioned Johnson's scoring acumen at home last year. Former Generation Adidas guy, a first-round draft pick by the Houston Dynamo. Spent several years in that organization. Has bounced around in the USL the last handful of years. Done it with really tremendous goal scoring. He's got 20 for Phoenix as Abdul Salam is down. Devin, we were talking about Saad Abdul Salam before the game, and you and I agreed. We almost forgot how good he was at Sporting Kansas City. This guy's played in an MLS Cup.
The exact words. Totally forgot about him.
Right.
Didn't want to admit it to Rick Johnson when we were chatting with him, but you did forget he was a mainstay for Sporting KC and Peter Vermees, and then he was NYCFC, gets lost in translation, never really finding form there, and not favored as much either. That's not something you want to see. 2 injury substitutions, it looks like. Solomon Asante earlier on, JJ steps in, now Joe Farrell coming in. Or Abdul Salam. This will be an interesting switch. When they played in the 3-back system, Phoenix, they would have Joe Farrell play it right back, so I'm curious to see if they're going to keep him at marking back.
It's a set piece for Phoenix. This sliced ball, a little off the foot of Forbes. McCarthy moving back into the starting order, sat out the most recent game. This just his 5th start of the year. Musa fit in seamlessly to this team. Musa, one of the guys when asking about Abdul Salam, made it so easy in the transition. He and Dia, both SKC guys at the same time. A couple good moves here. Breaks down. Musa was crucial to those last 2 Swope Park Rangers runs into the USL Cup final, winning the West. Was out by Rodriguez. This ball touched through. Johnson just moved wide, lost it at his feet. Johnson trying to knock it through. Gordon is there. Guadarrama playing to the feet of Gordon. Gordon blazing into the final third. Guzman. McCarthy will trudge ahead. Cochran bashes that into the penalty area. Chested down Rodriguez. Cochran driving back post. Gordon played it back across and out.
Much better from the visiting squad. Starting to find some momentum. See some confidence coming back into their game. Nice ball floated to the back post. Blackman gets lucky, letting it come over the top. It's a center back and that ball gets floated over. You don't know what's behind you. You want to position yourself appropriately, knock it over the end line.
Header through, Restrepo. The flag was up for offside. It wouldn't have counted. The USL will surpass 2 million in total attendance this week. It maintains a record pace in the stands for the league's modern era. Devin, the league and its teams, and I think us, I'd like to thank the fans for the rising, no pun intended, support they've provided over the course of the year as we head toward the USL Cup playoffs 2018. And Devin, in the world of social media, we've become pretty close with a decent number of fans, including the rabid fan bases that make up Phoenix and San Antonio supporters.
It's always interesting to see what everybody has to say about what they saw in this goal, what they thought about this referee. It's always nice to hear what they thought about us.
It's not always so peachy.
There you go. I can sleep at night.
The problem is then I can't.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it is a throw here for Phoenix. Overhead tap to that, and Gordon comes away. Gordon touching it through. This is a whistle, and this will be a second yellow. That's enough. Luigi Mala on the night. He's sent off. Well, there's a fly in the ointment now for Phoenix. We'll have to finish with 10. And this one, Devin, it's a no-doubter, isn't it?
You just don't even put yourself in this situation. Phoenix gets away with one there. Gordon starts to go the other direction, pushes it around him. Even if he doesn't get him, you don't need to leave your foot out like that. He's very frustrated with himself, and again, regardless of if you agree or not, too much veteran leadership from Luigi Mala. Only in his early 20s, but you see him multiple times step up and be that leader, both physically and from a communication standpoint. Gets hung out to dry a bit by the midfield. Could have held and waited for some support, but as he steps in, leaves his leg out. And again, I didn't see a lot of contact in it, but it's enough to force the referee's hand. Just have to be smarter.
Well, Devin, this is a move I think you were looking for at halftime, and it comes now Kyle Murphy in.
I'm shocked Darren Powell didn't pull an entire line change and use all 3 subs at halftime based upon the opening 45-minute performance, but Kyle Murphy will step in and expect them to go into a 4 flat across the middle. Guadarrama drop in alongside Charlie Ward.
Now, Devin, one of the underlying questions now is that there's been an injury to the back line already in Saad Abdul Salam. They brought in Joey Farrell. Now Luigi Mala, the other center back, out. First thought would probably be Musa dropping in.
They'll definitely drop him back, absolutely. And they can always use him in that center back position. We'd actually play the center back role in the 3-back system at times that Patrice Carteron started to implement before his departure.
Because Blackman right now is playing center back. He's really primarily, when he won West Coast Conference Player of the Year, a fullback. So there are some options there that you do have, right?
You can change things around, and that's why I said when Joe Farrell came in, you always play center back for Phoenix Rising, and that's where he played last year as well. Bob Lilly and the Rochester Rhinos, but a lot of guys more than capable in this Phoenix Rising squad defensively. Very versatile. The easy switch is just drop James back in, and don't be surprised if you don't see them pull off the gas almost immediately. Again, they are sitting on a 3-goal cushion. They like to push the tempo at times and really force their will on teams.
Fernandez, Owako, Brewer, and Frater are the available subs for Phoenix the rest of the way. DeFont and Waldrip among those who played in the last game against Las Vegas but are out of the 18 tonight. Up the right-hand side, San Antonio trying to get back in this 1 goal at a time. Ball knocked across, header snapped! Wide of the post from Gordon. It's been increasingly dangerous in this second half.
Darnell King getting involved. Gordon sliding into the middle. Looks like they're going to push him up top alongside Ever Guzman to try and get something going here offensively. It's 10-15 minutes. It's been better from San Antonio, lacking that finished product, but giving themselves an opportunity at least make a challenge of it.
These teams will meet again on Saturday, September the 8th. It'll be in San Antonio at Toyota Field. And there's a creeping suspicion that Didier Drogba will come back around that time. Darren Powell's team last year, just one loss at home. Great on the road. This year, 2 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses away from home. For a team, Devin, and you asked him right on, said it was nearly 3 months without a road win. Forbes around Hedrick, knocks it across. Johnson, Forbes! Billy Forbes! No need to celebrate again. It's another of the Phoenix San Antonio transplants. Four-goal lead for the Rising.
When this team is clicking, they are one of the most dangerous, not just in the Western Conference, but in the league. Confidence all over the pitch. You think the first one's gonna call it to Forbes, gives it back to JJ, who slots it right back to his teammate. Able to pick out that near post and beat Diego Restrepo. 4 for Forbes, 4 for Phoenix. They are moving on for 3 points.
Dominant stuff tonight from Phoenix, no other way to put it. Is this the turning point of their season? Right here. I can't tell if I'm surprised or not, but Jason Johnson's first assist this year. As Phoenix score down a man, make it 4. You know, Devin, I'm reading old stats. You're pointing at our monitor here. Not his first, is it?
It's definitely not his first rodeo.
No, no, no. It's his second of the game, second of the year. Well, this Phoenix fan base that spent a lot of time. You think back before this current ownership group came into place, and Arizona United really didn't have much of a say in the USL before this rebrand, and started last year. Frank Yallop began the season, left. Rick Schantz took over. Patrice Carteron arrived. And Patrice Carteron started this season, went to El Ahly, which is one of the great clubs in Africa, in Egypt. Rick Schantz the man again. And through it all, the Rising have become one of the most sought-after tickets in the area. And as mentioned, can't miss TV. Nice build-up, breaks down. Skipped by Gordon. I think you could make a similar statement about San Antonio's success. They started from scratch on a franchise months before their opening season. Gordon has this ricochet outside. Luckily here to Cochran. Drives it back across. Gordon drops back. Rip. Deflects down. And Lubin comes out and claims this. Gets there before Guzman.
This is really close. Get another handball. This takes a deflection off Musa, who has slid back in to help destroy things on the defensive side of the ball. Good strike from the top of the box. Zach Lubin once again Very impressive performance this evening. Another solid save. Joe Farrell has, in fact, been sitting out on that right side in that marking back position alongside Blackman, and moves to slide into that left center back position.
This will come all the way to Restrepo. Well, the best way to get highlights in real time is over on Twitter, the USL's official Twitter feed, keeping you up to date. News, game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. You can follow along at USL. Lubin dives out on top of this. Gordon Farrell. Cochran keeping this for SAFC. Escalante. Escalante going one-on-one, driven down by Farrell.
Another one of the transfers from the RGV organization coming over. Tries to challenge Joe Farrell. This is weak. Goes to ground very easily. Joe Farrell knows it. Right in front of the Red Fury, who are continuously beating their drums, though up 4-0, having no problem letting everybody know that they still want their voice to be heard. I'm very impressed with Zach Lubin tonight. He's done a great job.
Hasn't given the jersey up, has he? Ward. Gordon. Gordon slides down. Able to keep it for Ward in the end. Stepping forward, Escalante, back heel clip. That's knotted away from King. This will be a corner. Boy, if that comes off from Guzman, we're talking about SportsCenter top 10. After some discussion, looks like the flag was up there for offside in the end.
It's always nice when a referee starts to be indecisive 70 minutes into the match. Appreciate you.
They're just communicating.
That's what you're calling it?
Yeah. Gosh.
You have to give Daniel Radford credit. Outside of the Mala incident where didn't really catch much, he has kept it very quiet, kept it even. You could question Luigi Mala's challenge and exactly how much he got on the counterattack, but again, you just can't put yourself in that situation sitting on a yellow right in the middle of the field exposed.
Guadarrama knocks this across, brought down. Guzman spinning, shooting. Lubin down to make the stop. I think what's more impressive, and look, you're at home, you're not at Las Vegas, but against Las Vegas, Rick Schantz told the team, we will finish with a shutout tonight. Defense has been just as good. This ball ripped on frame, and Restrepo has to parry this aside from Jason Johnson.
Schantz will be very disappointed if they don't come up with that shutout, something that he stresses, especially when you've been inconsistent on the defensive side of things. Chris Cortez trying to test Diego Restrepo from distance. Better safe than sorry. Good stuff by the netmender, just pushing it out.
Cortez there, sorry, looking for his second. Scoring in the 18th. This will bounce through for Cortez. McCarthy threw his boot out at it. Guzman was trying to carry the other way. Forbes offside. King leading. This will be a corner. Murphy plays it back. The service, Guadarrama. Guadarrama! Cross with pace. Murphy actually whistled. He's persistent there in the challenge. Brewer set to come on. As Phoenix using their third and final sub. That's enough for Billy Forbes. Got what he came here for. Needed to get that goal scoring going again, and he certainly did.
Right there, he really thought he was going to pull the trigger, but he was patient, held off. The Jamaican rewarded him for his efforts, gave it right back to Billy Forbes. We're going to get a look at Lonnie Shaft Brewer Jr. I'm calling this his debut because last week he came on in the 90th minute. More of a posturing move by Rick Schantz on the road to kill some time. So, though he got to show his face for a few, never really got to have a full run at it.
Well, this is Brewer. Brewer moving toward the touch line and sailed that up. He was trying to pick out the corner, perhaps. Maybe just a miss-hit cross. You asked Rick Schantz, you said a little bit of posturing there with Brewer, and he goes, well, we wanted to get the new guy in and make him feel part of the group. He gets a little more here.
It's one of those ones where you're down at the end line warming up. It's the 90th minute. He calls your number, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks, Coach. I'll see you in the dressing room.
You know, that'll get you sent home from World Cups.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hydration break here. That man needs a cool, refreshing glass of H2O. Well, Phoenix right now certainly feels top of the world. A 4-0 lead for Phoenix. It was 3-0 at the half, and we take a look back at the last half hour, Devin, and the red card to Luigi Mala. Looked like a significant setback. But Phoenix able to get that fourth goal and put this thing away.
59th minute, you could see steps in. Musa and Lambert had been beaten in the midfield. Mala is not happy because he doesn't think he gets touched. Nobody told Billy Forbes that they were going to sit in and park the bus. 64th minute goes the other direction. Nice little 1-2 game with Jason Johnson. Picks out the near post, beats Restrepo for Phoenix's fourth of the evening.
Who's that guy?
I've heard of him.
Yeah. You know, Bald Drogba got a lot of talk at the start of the year. He's done a lot of different hairdos over the years. This is for the third stage of the Drogba Pokemon. This is the end of the line. Of course, he had some free kick goals that were just jaw-dropping over the last couple of years. And who could forget what's in the water? Just full of highlights. And he'll be back soon enough. It's expected to be his last year of pro soccer as it stands now. Haven't heard much about it. We've seen Didier Drogba, and it's tough to tell his age. Still playing at a very high level. Presley on for McCarthy.
Rick Schantz said that when he stepped back into training after being away for some time, that the things that he can do with the ball in general, yet alone being gone from the game for so long, mind-boggling at times. Just impressive. You can see the guy is on another level.
Mala, a red card. Cochran trying to head this back with Brewer giving chase. This ball bouncing toward Gordon. Gordon, after it's still, this will be a goal kick. Gordon has not gotten along with the referees very much tonight. Been on the wrong end of a couple tight calls.
Maybe you'll get in the game if we score another goal.
I think he's just exchanging Jamaican jerk patty recipes with our head referee. I could go for some of those right now. Hungry.
Those aren't $1 tonight.
Plenty of water to go around.
It just continues, doesn't it?
Every time.
The dollar beer night. Saga, legacy. I know Phoenix, I don't know that anyone in the league does promotions as well as Phoenix Rising does. But this is one they could revisit a couple times. The results always seem to follow.
There's organizations around the world and in many a sport that do blackouts, whiteouts, all that good stuff. But if you're Phoenix, just call it dollar beer night and you're almost assuredly not only getting a win, you're getting a boatload of goals.
Yeah. Cochran, an exciting youngster pushing upfield, 20-year-old Connor Presley. Presley upended. He tried to sashay up the end line.
He's got speed. That's one thing Darren Powell has told us, and you're going to get a look at his fancy footwork. Nice little touch, gets around him. It's going to leave a mark in the morning.
This ball rocketed across. Attempt there from Guadarrama. Now the service headed. Hedrick trying to get up there. Lubin got a piece of that. Well, Lubin's been a star for Phoenix on a night where you could easily pick out one of the offensive players and say they were the key. Guadarrama for Presley. Presley back to his feet, enters the area. Keep still. Ball for Presley, comes right back out. Cortez back to his feet, trying to play through for Johnson. San Antonio up a man, trying to make a game of this late. Phoenix fans know. Escalante crossing. Gordon makes himself available. Knocked aside for a moment. Amadou Dia. That Orange County game is a cautionary tale, isn't it? Watch highlights from every game of the 2018 season and stay up to date. News from across the USL. The league's official Facebook page is facebook.com/USL Soccer. Service bouncing the midsection of King. Guadarrama. For Gordon. Knotted out by Farrell.
It's too predictable. They're just stagnant in the middle of the field, San Antonio. See, they brought, looking back, Darnell King up. Guadarrama's holding right at the top of the box. Earlier on, they took Gordon and threw him into the mix, but know exactly what's coming at you if you're Phoenix Rising.
Service here. Off the head Hedrick deflects another corner for San Antonio. Ball fired across Hedrick. Sent it sailing by the post and the crossbar.
It's going to be something that Rick Schantz talks to his squad about after this game before the quick turnaround against Colorado Springs this weekend. It's been poor marking distribution that's come into the middle of the box. That's communication between your holding midfielders and your back line. A lot of space in between Lambert, Musa, Blackman.
Cochran as far as Lambert. Johnson can't muscle through. Never the showman, the Rising never prepared to sit on any lead. Think about it, goal differential. Orange County is plus 25 coming into the night. Phoenix plus 17, the two best numbers in the West. They end up on level terms. That could be the difference between hosting or going on the road in a playoff game.
It's a heated contest between those those two teams in the 3 matches they face this year. Good matchups.
Ball lobbed across. Cortez fading away. Taken away by King. And as you begin to think about the Western Conference at this stage, you've got the top 8 with St. Louis and San Antonio and Swope Park all sitting at 34 and 35 points, 7, 8, 9. But then you've got Swope and Fresno and OKC and even Colorado Springs sort of hanging around to potentially make a playoff run. I think you're starting to get to the stage where it'll take a massive undertaking to see Las Vegas or Los Angeles make it the playoffs. So you're beginning to look now reasonably 2 spots left with 5, 6 teams after them.
We're still at that point, though, where I don't want to say anything can happen, but you and I had the opportunity to do the game of the week versus Charleston Battery and Tampa Bay Rowdies, and going into that, we asked head coach Mike Anhauser from the Battery, what he thought about his team's recent run of play. At that point in time, was riding their own unbeaten streak, chasing FC Cincinnati, and he said, honestly, I know it sounds very blasé, but it's really the next 90 minutes because you take 2, 3 games off, you drop from 2nd to 8th. It's still very possible for any of these squads. Now, they've definitely, performance-wise, distanced themselves a lot, but teams have games in hand, road performances. And right now, T2 sitting in 5th at 42 points, but they played 27 games.
Right.
That's 4 games more than Reno. 3 games more than San Antonio. So, again, still an awesome opportunity for a lot of squads to get back into the mix of things, but got to find a way to do so on the road. That's been San Antonio's biggest thing this year. Just haven't been able to get it done away from home. And then you and I were chatting even before we came on air. Obviously, seeding matters. You want that home match, but Real Monarchs last year go out, they win the regular season title, and then bow out in the first round of Sac Republic.
And the year before that, Sacramento finishes first and bows out in the first round of Orange County. So,
what do we know?
Where the points don't matter. I think if you're San Antonio, yeah, this stings, but Phoenix, they've beaten teams like this a lot. Cortez is remarkably still onside. Brewer knocks it across. Energizer Bunny extraordinaire. Vega going back. San Antonio, this is going to sting. It's going to feel like a long trip home. But then you're going to move on. And the schedule right now is unrelenting. They're still right in the thick of the playoff race. Nothing in the grand scheme has changed tonight. Presley.
Goes back to their run of form over the month of June and July. Again, most of that home matches. 9 in total, going 5-2-2. But one loss on the road in Orange County and the other loss at home from Reno 1868. They were able to take down some big names in that time frame, though. They were able to get wins versus T2. Sacramento Republic. See the great win back on July 21st versus the Real Monarchs. They have a very, very difficult schedule ahead of them. We already talked about spending 8 of the next 10 on the road. They're gonna have to do it versus some very talented squads.
This ball get all the way through. Escalante cutting it across the 6. I mean, you look at San Antonio's upcoming schedule, and that is frightful stuff.
Home Swell Park Rangers at RGV, which again, everybody looks at the standings and they look at RGV and they think, oh, that's a win. HEB Park, I know we've said it a few times tonight, but it is just such a difficult place to play. The travel, the humidity, the temperature, it's so tough.
This ball shot from King, ricochet out. They've lost twice all year at home, RGV.
One was most recent as well.
Yep.
So we're talking about a team that lost early on and then.
Now there's 8 draws, right? But no one goes into a game going, well, we'll take a draw. I mean, that's not the dream scenario. Cochran driving a curler over the crossbar.
4-week stretch. Swell Park Rangers at HEB, Real Monarchs, Phoenix Rising. You turn the corner after the Tulsa game, it doesn't get much better. Swell Park Rangers again, St. Louis, short stint at home versus S2, but you got to deal with Vegas. We know what Vegas does.
Yeah.
And then RGV at home, so some opportunity for Darren Powell and his boys, but gotta find something because this is 3 games in a row now. They have been on the opposing side of not one of their best performances.
This ball rocketed over the crossbar. San Antonio trying to take the brunt of this out on the select ball. On the other side for Phoenix, I think there were valid, to be frank, concerns on what's happened over the last month. Not that I think teams felt like they were losing a step necessarily, but maybe losing their concentration. How many goals they gave up after that torrid start. Rick Schantz took over as the head coach following Patrice Carteron's shocking departure. But these last 2 games, be it against teams beneath them in the standings, have been emphatic.
The fury that they finished last season with, outside of the playoff games, they went 11-1-3 in their final 15 games.
If they gave up more than 5 goals in that stretch, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it was impressive. And then they came out hot out of the blocks. And for the longest time, it was just the talk of Real Monarchs has an actual valid opponent chasing them this year, and it's going to be Phoenix Rising and Real Monarchs, and that's all it was in the Western Conference forever. Well, then Real Monarchs, Phoenix put it on cruise control. Orange County, Aiden Quinn, Braden Cloutier decide to get in.
Well, the flag is up here, and that may have saved a potentially damaging effort there.
And Ian Russell and Reno 1868 decide to kick it into high gear, and those 2 guys made a name for themselves. 16-game unbeaten that St. Louis ended a couple games ago. And now you've got this mix of what's going to happen there. Sacramento Republic still remaining relevant. Simon Elliott has those guys. They're another team where you can take a look and go, they can be one of the most dangerous teams in this league. And then they could be in the bottom half of the table.
There are days where a lot of these teams come out and feel rather toothless. The game is sort of funny that way, though, isn't it? You're never as good as your best, and you're never as bad as your worst. I have dozens of these cliches. Dozens.
Baker's dozen?
Just a dozen.
Keep going back to food. After the Jamaican patty comment, I feel like if I keep talking about it, the hunger will just go away.
It never does.
Never.
Does not.
Good shot at the Phoenix Rising bench a second ago. Rick Schantz and all the boys going in black tonight. Mrs. Schantz usually stepping in to help with the attire. At least that's what he says. Just recently enjoying their 16th wedding anniversary. It's a good look at the gaffa.
In terms of the attire tonight, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, they're all got their
Professional polos on. It's the one that goes with the headshot. It's in all those game programs everybody loves.
Yeah, just past the wedding anniversary, but the first thing he asked him goes, 3 games in 8 days, a lot of hours at the office, huh? Not seeing a lot of the family right now. Phoenix has their first winning streak since the middle of June. They desperately needed to come out of the block strong against San Antonio, and they do. 3 points. They continue their climb up the Western Conference table on a forgettable night for San Antonio. Phoenix continues to dominate out west.
Impressive from start to finish for Phoenix Rising FC. Saw them on the offensive side of things, really firing on all cylinders. Defensively, some shaky spots here and there, especially distribution from the wings, but nothing too threatening over the course of it. Darren Powell, San Antonio FC, 3 games in a row you've dropped. 3 games you've been subpar in your performance. Got to get back on track to get back in this race in the Western Conference.
Well, when this team was built, you said that Phoenix got goals from Cortez and Vega and Asante and Forbes. You'd know it'd be a good night. 4 massive names. Phoenix a 4-0 winner over San Antonio. Wrap it up after this. Well, there are some victims along the way. Salman Asante picks up an injury, Saad Abdul Salam as well, but the goal-scoring acumen of Phoenix unquestioned again. 4-0 winners, their second straight win by way of shutout. And they're rolling again with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, full-time highlights. Let's start in the 18th minute.
Great ball in by Saad. Lambert overlapping run. Just does exactly what you want to do. Picture perfect. Gets to the byline, knocks it right back where he knows the trailing run should be by Chris Cortez. Cortez finishes it off. Solomon Asante in the 27th minute. Just sitting about 25-30 yards from goal. Diego Restrepo. Merry Christmas. 2-0 Phoenix Rising. Out and running. And then the third one, Devin Vega actually missed a sitter about 3-4 minutes before. Devin Vega gets a good ball in from Jason Johnson. Again, the first touch, beautiful. Bombs it to the back post. 3-0 Phoenix Rising at halftime.
Dominant start. And of course, when you score against your former team, Devin, sometimes you don't need to celebrate.
It's classy stuff, and that's exactly what you want to see. A lot of love for him. San Antonio squad growing up there as well. You turn the corner at 45 and you think, all right, Darren Powell, let's get this back on track. You can make some changes, move some personnel around, and get these guys back in it. He doesn't make a single change. Phoenix Rising says, okay, no problem. Coming off the red card, the second yellow by Dweid Jamal in the 59th minute. 64, Billy Forbes gets the fourth.
Forbes, another San Antonio guy, and this a fine finish. He needed to get his goals going again. He had 10 last year, really struggled down the stretch of the season. This could be a spark for him as he tries to get Phoenix moving in the right offensive direction. San Antonio actually in the end outshoots Phoenix, but a lot of those shots at the end from distance, they don't really pepper Zach Lubin enough, and the possession, as you mentioned, really is a bit misleading.
It's meaningless, and the times that they did really challenge Zach Lubin, he was up to the task. But Darren Powell, again, I don't understand why he doesn't make another change and why he doesn't make them sooner. I mean, you've got 3 cards sitting there, not necessarily aces in the hole, but you wait till the 60th minute, and then you don't make your next one till the 77th, and you take a look at the bench. He's got Alex Bruce, Bryant, Ryan Rochendale, all of them sitting there that could step in and help provide the spark. He doesn't go that way. Phoenix gets the double yellow. You never would have known that they were playing with 10, because even though San Antonio started to creep back in, Phoenix still looked threatening.
As we take a look at the upcoming ESPN schedule, free game on ESPN Plus this year with the exclusion of our ESPN Game of the Week. We'll see Darren Powell, San Antonio FC again. You and I both have a ton of respect for Darren. What they're putting together, you expect to bounce back.
100%, especially over the course of 3 games. Things were poor, very poor versus S2. They got better versus T2, and they've backtracked now. But make no mistake about it, they'll get home, they'll get back to basics, and figure out exactly what the recipe for success is going forward as they continue for this playoff push. Really excited for that Rowdies Nashville game as Gary Smith tries to push his squad into one of those home field advantage spots if he can. They really struggled over the course and they've dropped to 9th, but plenty of opportunity for them down the stretch, especially with 2 games in hand.
Well, it's a mad decent performance tonight from Phoenix Rising. 4-0 winners as they blow out San Antonio. They were up 3-0 at the half, and it just carried forward for Chris Cortez and Billy Forbes and Solomon Asante and Devin Vega. Another strong performance. Asante is easy a goal as you'll find. Now 2 goal scorers with a dozen on the year. For Abe Punt and Jonathan Telly and Manny Phenom Sinam, Devin Carr alongside. Michael Watt saying thanks for watching. Phoenix 4, San Antonio 0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the league may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.